Hey everybody. Well, as promised, I mentioned on the last video that, at least I think I mentioned it. Maybe I didn't. Huh. Let's assume that on the last video I mentioned that this past weekend I was going to get the wing and prime, and I did. And as you can see here, the primer is mostly gone. So this is where I really enjoy, you know, monocoat. Oh, I enjoy monocoat. None of this stuff. But it's just got to be done sometimes. So let's go over what exactly happened. So on the last video, um, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to show the bottom of the wing, but might as well. Okay. So I got some interesting comments on the last video about the fact that I should probably take this airplane and light it on fire and throw it away, because I was questioning whether or not I have a whole lot of faith in the airframe because it is quite old. Now, you guys have to keep in mind that these are update videos. So, I bring up something that I am concerned about or don't like, not sure what I'm going to do, and the next video is when I'm going to discuss what I did and how I did it. So, the big debate on the last video, or should I say the first video for this project, was not being too comfortable with the strength of the wing as far as the spar area goes. So as you can see here, there's remnants of a channel that I cut out all the way to the end of the servo bay here. And I cut that out. I put in shear webs, put everything back on, re-glassed this area, and did the same on the other side. And now this thing is... it's pretty darn strong. Ooh. Bob Hoover. Yeah. He was the best. Oh my god. Glad I got to meet him years ago. One of the highlights of my life, definitely. Anyways, like a squirrel chasing a nut. I'm not going to say that again. That was bad. Anywho, so I'm just at a loss for words today. I don't know. I'm just not really with it. Anyway, so I took care of my concerns with the wing as far as making it nice and strong, and now it is. So I went ahead and did all that, re-glassed these areas, and primed the wing top and bottom with 2 heavy coats of high build primer. Now once I brought it home with the high build primer, then that showed me everywhere that was bad, because I had one good even solid color, so I was able to see all the imperfections. So anywhere you see this color, which is the lightweight Bondo that I use, these were all the imperfections. Like I said, the bottom of the wing is icky, okay? Right now it's relatively smooth, but I've done all I'm going to do with the bottom of the wing. I'm going to do a finish coat of primer before I paint it, but that's it. That is all I'm going to do. I'm not too concerned about the bottom of the wing. I mean, you can see the primer did its job. This looks like it's an extremely rough surface, but the primer's doing its job. And this is actually smooth to the touch. So that's good. So we got all that taken care of. Everything went fairly well, considering. Did the same on the top, and I was asked in a previous comment, how do I lay down panel lines? Stand by. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Squirrel. Art Scholl. Oh, man. That is the most beautiful airplane right there. I mean, this is why I like chipmunks so much. I mean, come on now. Look at that. This is probably pissing a lot of people off, but too bad. We're going to watch Art Scholl fly for a second. Alright, good. Okay, so Once I apply the Bondo, sand everything, get the Bondo smooth, you should kind of get this this nasty look. And that's just like on the bottom, that's the primer doing its job. The primer has filled in the low spots, and you can see where the high spots are surfacing, like here and here. Now oh, Jimmy Franklin. I should probably turn this off. I'm getting way too distracted. This is an old VHS of mine, by the way. Um, so panel lines. Where do we start? Well, first, you need to figure out what you want to do. We'll get to that in a minute. So this is what I am using for the Bearcat. I think I got it on eBay or Amazon. So if anybody wants to just write down what that is. This is a really high quality automotive tape. So it's more of a vinyl type tape, but it's very flexible. Good adhesion, so works very well whether you're planning on leaving the panel lines on the airplane or peeling them off to give the look of a recessed panel line. Now there's also like chart pack tapes. Here's an actual very thin masking tape, which will work as well, but this is more of a paper. So I for leaving the panel lines on the airplane, I don't know how. I don't know the longevity I would get out of that. But what do I mean about leaving the panel lines or pulling them off? Well, as you can see on my P51, this has panel lines and rivets, but I pulled the panel line tape off, which gives a recessed panel line, and then burned in the rivets afterwards. I did not want to do that on this project. Once again, that's a lot of time, and I just don't see the value in doing it for a plane like this. So for this one, I go online or using books, anything I can use for a reference that shows a good 3-view. And from the 3-view, oh, Leo Loudenslager. Awesome. From the 3-view, you need to find an area that you can start from. So on the Bearcat, this panel line right here goes from tip to tip, and it's a straight line all the way across. So I do my 2 wingtip verticals first, one there, and then I run my line all the way across. Then from there, I start in the center and work my way out. And when I put a line here, I put that same line over here. Then boom, boom, and just back and forth, back and forth. Some of them are a little bit more intricate in their shape and how they go on there. But once you get into it, it's not too bad. It doesn't take very long. This maybe took an hour and a half. And one thing to make sure... Hey, he's going to land on a car. John Shackelford. I wonder if he's related to Rusty Shackelford. Anyways. Don't give me crap for this. I'm easily distracted. So once you put the lines on there, if you're planning on leaving them, you can just stick them on there and call it good, seal it in with some primer. I like to go one step ahead and actually just put a drop of CA and put CA anywhere there's a connection, there's an end. And you'll notice that none of my panel lines overlap. Everything is cut flush to the corresponding line, so there's no overlaps, there's no bumps. Everything is nice and smooth as far as the lines go. So what I'm going to do next is this could be painted right now. The aluminum paint that I use would go over this just fine and would cover up all the blemishes. It would paint over the tape. It would be just fine, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take a finish primer, which is not a high build formula, and I'm going to do a quick shot just over the panel lines, just kind of a quick shot just to kind of seal them in, kind of feather them out a little bit so they're not as, so they don't jump out at you as hard. Then I'm going to do a light coat over the rest of the wing. Then when it's dry, I'll wet sand it very, very lightly with 320 just to kind of even everything up. Because when I paint, I like to have solid primer when I paint. I don't like painting over this kind of stuff here, because when you have, a little bit of the old paint exposed right there, we got some Bondo, we got some resin. Somewhere in there might be a chemical that might upset my paint, and that would cause big problems. So that's where we're at. Hopefully that answered questions on putting on panel lines. This is the easiest way to do it. It's not as scale, but as you can see just from looking at it, I mean, it does add a lot of personality to the model. And this is 1/16 tape, by the way. So, that's where we're at on Mr. Bearcat. But while I was waiting for... what was I waiting for? I was waiting for something on that. I got this out last week and completely finished her up. This is the Joe Brighty Killer Chaos. In my opinion, the hottest Chaos design. It doesn't have the traditional Chaos tail, which is probably one of the most iconic, according to Bill Cunningham, which I totally agree. The Chaos has the most recognizable tail section and rudder in the world. I mean, you can't mistake a Chaos. But I love the Killer Chaos. I love the different tail design, but it still has their traditional Chaos wing. Like I said, it's completely ready to go. Got high-tech 225s on the back. Running just short 256 push rods. These old OS 61s, or 61s in general, are notorious for being pretty heavy. And this is a very lightly built airplane. So the reason I put the servos back here is not only was I able to save weight, but I was able to save weight. Is that confusing? I confused myself. So, if I were to have two standard servos running push rods, this would be a pretty nose-heavy airplane. I'd have to put weight in the tail. Well, I wanted to bypass that. So, I could have put two standard size servos back here and probably have to move my receiver battery further forward. Well, I went a step ahead. Using the high-tech 225s, which is a smaller, lighter servo, I was able to get all the useful, lighter weight of these servos into the tail section where it needed to be, further back from the CG. So by moving the servos back avoids me from having to put tail weight in the airplane, and using lighter servos in the process saves even more weight. This is a very light airplane. Oh man. Old OS 61 SF, beautiful engine. I can't remember if I've run this one or not. I think I have. I think this came out of another Chaos that I had. This one is set up with retracts. Hopefully they work. We are creeping into winter here. We've already had snow. We're back to grass now, but if the weather is not too cold and windy this weekend, I may try to get this thing in the air. Why not? So stay tuned. Maybe we'll give it a try. Throughout the week, I may or may not get this primed to the finishing stage. In theory, I mean, if I was ambitious enough, I could get this primed and painted this week, no problem. But I don't think I'm in that big of a hurry, to be honest with you. So, I'm going to keep plugging away. That's about all I got. Hey, a steerman doing aerobatics. I really need to get back over there and watch TV. I'm distracted. All right. See you guys later.